Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of Mocktail Minutes. This is Bailey.
And this is Brianna.
This week I am drinking, I guess Spindrift. They have like a new line. So I found a Spindrift soda, and this one's strawberry shortcake flavored. It kind of
Ooh.
reminds me of like a cocktail that you would get. It's not terrible.
I saw that they had new flavors, but I didn't know they had like sodas, so that's fun.
Yeah, it's like strawberry vanilla soda, and it still has like the real fruit in
Hmm.
it.
Yeah, I like Spindrift. Costco has a sale on them right now. I might have said that last week. I'm doing Cure, which I've been on a Cure kick lately, like the little electrolyte packets. But this time I got the berry pomegranate, which like sounded really good. I don't
I
like
love that flavor.
I
That's
don't
my
like it
favorite
at
one.
all. It tastes like cough syrup.
What? No, that's my favorite one, and I usually don't like pomegranate stuff.
Yeah. Well, Victor was like, "Well, can I have them then?" Because I really like them. I was like, "Sure." Hey. I don't
Well,
know. It was
really,
really, it
there you
sounded
go.
so good to me. I was like, it's like pomegranate. It's cold. I don't know. I feel like pomegranate goes with cold. Yeah. I didn't love it, but I mean, I'm drinking it. I
Yeah.
like their electrolyte amounts.
Those ones have a pretty good balance of sodium potassium, right?
Yeah. So I like them.
Perfect. Well, today we are diving into the new pyramid. I don't know if it's just because we're dietitians that it's just all over the place right now and that's our algorithm, or maybe that's everyone's. So if you haven't seen it, there's a new pyramid for your food. We had the old My Pyramid.
hmm
We retired that in like 2011. Is
Yeah.
that
It's
what it
been a
was?
while.
And then we went to My Plate. Now we're going back to a pyramid, but it's an upside down pyramid. We actually
Yeah.
haven't, we've accidentally kind of shared some thoughts on it, but we purposely are trying to keep each other in the dark of what our thoughts have been, just so you kind of get our
Like
raw
first
thinking.
raw, yeah, our like raw opinion. You know what? You bring up a good point because it's everywhere on every single
Yeah.
like social media platform that I have. But I remember like not everyone's dietitians, but I feel like we would be not dietitians if we didn't talk about it because the amount that people are upset about this
Like a
is
lot of
wild.
dietitians are upset
There's a
about it, like
lot.
mad about it, making all these videos.
Yeah.
I
And
actually kind of like the pyramid.
I kind of like it too. Here's the thing. The first thing people are very upset about is they're like, okay, well, what happened to my plate? Like you skipped a chapter. We've had my plate. And yeah, we discontinued the pyramid in like 2011. We've had something called my plate. If you've never seen it, it's literally a plate and it breaks up what parts of your plate should have what on it. Visual wise, I liked it was more visual than the pyramid. Okay. So like in terms of like, oh, what should your plate look like? But I had a lot of issues with my plate too. Like for example, there's no fat
Yeah,
anywhere
it
on the
didn't have
plate.
good representation.
Yeah. So anytime I did education, people would be like, and fat. I'm like, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. It's not on here. Let's talk about that. Like, I don't know how you leave out a macronutrient, but whatever. So now we're back to a pyramid and it's upside down. I like it. The only thing I don't visually like about it is I feel like it looks a little retro. And it is a little confusing if you, I don't want to say if you're a visual learner, but you know what? The old pyramid was confusing to me too.
hmm And that's funny because this is one thing we talked about. I like how it looks visually because I think it looks more aesthetically pleasing, like kind of more muted colors. It's kind of got like a sketch illustration, more like
Yeah,
artsy
like
fartsy.
cartoon. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I liked that. And I mean, I haven't really used my plate with any of my clients recently.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I think because we recommend a little bit differently than what the previous government guidelines were, where it just wasn't suitable for my audience.
Yeah.
And so I like that this isn't telling you exactly almost how to set up your plate. It's kind of giving you a little bit more wiggle room.
Yeah.
And some things that I've heard dietitians kind of talk about it is I feel like a lot of them are just like looking at this picture and going crazy.
Yes.
And some of them are like, well, now they're not talking about like plant-based proteins. Actually, if even if you look at the picture, there's beans on there,
Yeah, there's beans.
nuts, there's,
I'm trying to look at it.
I guess those would be like the
There's
main,
not things like I know on the
there's
because
not like tofu on there, I
yeah,
guess.
and then these come up every 5 years. So like the last time this was done, it was 2020 to 2025. I think the world was like burning. So I don't know if anyone really noticed, but there was like as soon as it pops up, like there's a lot of plant-based proteins on there. Like I think tofu was on the first page. Like the
Mhm.
whole page is like the background is like a
But like,
tofu
let's
dish.
also point out this pyramid doesn't have every other food. Like, this is just kind of like a snapshot. I mean, there's what,
Yeah.
maybe 20, 30 different foods on here. There's way more foods and that in the
Yeah.
world. I feel like this is just trying to represent some different areas. And it's split kind of in thirds. So you have protein, dairy, and fats on one side. Then you have
Hmm.
veggies and fruits. And then kind of like the tip of the triangle, but it's upside down, is your whole grains.
Hmm.
Um, so it kind of splits it up like that. So one thing people talk about is the plant-based protein. I don't think it's a big concern. I think there should be more emphasis on
Yeah.
animal protein. I mean, you're going to get more bang for your buck there. It's going to be a complete animal source. And the other thing is they did increase the recommendations for protein to be, I think it's 0.54 to 0.73 grams per pound, which is
Hmm.
higher than what it previously was. So a lot of people are like, oh, that's too high. That's still lower than what I recommend for clients, to be honest, for most of
Yeah.
mine.
And it still falls within the whole like, you know, certain amount of percentage of of your overall calories is coming from
Mhm.
protein. It still falls within that. And I do that all the time when I'm doing it at the hospital because I'm always recommending higher protein. And sometimes the protein looks like high. I'm like, oh my gosh, someone's gonna say something. Let me look. And I'm calculating it. I'm like, oh, it's still 20% of their overall calories, like
Yeah.
appropriate. Our previous protein recommendations are very low, and we've been saying for a long time, like research shows we need higher. It just takes a very long time until that research is translated into recommendations. So I don't know why a lot of dietitians are living in the Stone Age about it. Like it's fine. We will be okay. We will be okay. And the difference too is like you have these recommendations and these guidelines and whatever, but then also there's like an application side of it. And for me, I know when I'm recommending people have a little bit higher protein, they feel better. They have better blood sugar balance, like they're more satiated, they're eating less junk food. Like that's the goal. So
Hmm.
I'm never gonna be like, oh, only eat 0.08 gram per kilogram of protein. That's crazy.
Yeah. And I like that they talked about it in per pounds where they usually talk about it in per kilogram because
Hmm.
I mean, here we use pounds.
Yeah,
So it
we use
makes
pounds.
sense. That's another thing a lot of people I broke up was like the average consumer doesn't know what they're looking at. I think that's wrong.
I think so
Maybe
too.
it's because maybe we have smarter people that we work with. I don't know. But I think any dietitian saying that is kind of doing a disservice to their own clients because
Hmm.
I think I could show this to any one of my clients and they could be like, there's steak, there's cheese, there's chicken, there's salmon, there's eggs, there's broccoli, there's carrots, there's tomatoes, there's berries, there's some sourdough bread. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's that hard to understand.
First of all, the old pyramid, if you look at the bottom of it at the grains part, there's just different loaves of bread, different
Yeah,
colors. I'm like,
yeah. And even if you think about this pyramid compared to my plate, I guess it's a little bit more because there's more things there.
mhm.
But I
There
mean,
wasn't a lot. Like my plate, it said words. It was like, and I divided the plates and it said whole grains, which, and it didn't even say and starches, which
mhm.
I feel like is something you need to, okay,
So the
because
old recommendations too, it talked about whole grains and refined grains. The
mhm,
new pyramid is just whole grains.
just whole grains. Like it's wanting you to
And I don't think it's
prioritize.
a bad thing.
Right. I don't think it's a bad thing either. And I really like that they started to split up the types of carbs because for example, again, my plate, it's like, okay, this part of your plate should be whole grains and or starches. And then you're trying to explain the difference between like, yes, these are beans and bread are both carbs, but they're different in this way and that. When you're looking
Yeah.
at the new pyramid, it's just like, oh, beans are part of the things that we should prioritize. And the loaf of bread, which most people understand as,
Hmm.
grains is something that you do minimally.
Hmm. And they are pushing quote unquote true sourdough breads, which I thought was interesting.
Yes,
But
they talk about fermented foods
hmm
and gut health,
it seems
which I
like
thought was interesting.
yes, a bigger push on gut health.
Hmm.
And so I don't think the average person would be confused looking at this. And then our role as a dietitian or your dietitian is to help you set up your plate.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily need a specific picture of a plate, I don't think. I think you
Mhm.
can be intellectual and kind of figure out what you need
Like,
or
what is
have someone
it?
help
Yeah.
you figure out what you need. So that's another thing people are kind of up in up
Well,
in
and
arms about.
when I'm looking at it in terms of like us preaching like protein, healthy fat, fiber, and when I'm looking at the top of the pyramid, those are all foods that
Weird.
has prioritized. So I'm like,
Yes.
if you're looking at the pyramid and you're thinking, okay, I want to prioritize the foods I see up top, it is that already balance of protein, healthy fat, and fiber, which I
Yeah.
think is helpful.
So, and then like speaking of the fat, the butter is another thing everyone's freaking out about.
The
If
butter
we're
is
looking at this
pissing
in
people
like
off.
a pyramid type thing where it's bigger, an upside down pyramid, bigger at the
Yeah.
top, lower at the bottom. Well, then you can see that butter actually is not closer to the top. It's
It's closer to the bottom.
closer to the bottom when we're
Yeah.
looking at the fat sources.
I, I
And
keep
they do
hearing
still
it.
recommend to decrease saturated fat, which is
Mhm.
probably why butter is below the olive oil.
Below olive oil and I think there's olives. Oh no, it's just olive oil on there. People people keep calling this in the dietitian community, and maybe it's just the dietitian pages I'm part of, but the keto cone, which I don't agree with because fruit is
No.
at the top.
Yes.
Like you guys are so upset. They're very upset about the red meat, the cheese, and the butter. And I think we know now our high cholesterol and stuff like that, it has a lot more to do with a lot of these highly refined
But I
grains.
think that's the problem is
Yeah.
a lot don't know that.
Or they don't want to. And this is my caveat, okay? We have got to, as professionals, not get so married to the things that we've learned. Like you're supposed to evolve, okay? Like if you were talking to us 40 years ago, the dietitian community thought like trans fat was the best fat you could ever eat. Don't eat
Yeah.
anything else. We love it. It's not bad for you, blah, blah, blah. Now, fast forward, it's not even allowed in our food anymore because we're like, holy crap, it's causing cancer. That change in the research, like people had to allow for it. So people being very upset by like saturated fat causes like heart disease and non-nutritive sweeteners are totally safe. But like we have research coming out that's like, maybe we were wrong, maybe we were wrong, maybe we were wrong. We have to be okay with that change. Like it's not anything personal. Like if you've been a dietitian for 20 years and you've been giving heart healthy diets and telling people don't eat red meat except for one time a week, it's okay to change and be like, oh, this is the newer recommendations. This is what I'm seeing. The butter has got people pissed off, which again, I don't think you should go be eating a stick of butter. Like,
Yeah. And yes, there's a picture of a stick of butter, but there's also a picture of like a whole chicken
yeah,
on here. You're not eating a whole chicken at a meal, so
you're
why
also
are
not
we
eating a
thinking
whole
this is
head of
the whole
broccoli and
butter?
like four
Yes.
carrots that's on there.
Like,
Yes. So, but the dietary recommendations still have no more than 10% of your daily calories from
yes.
saturated fat. So for a lot of people, that's like between 20 and 25 grams of saturated fat, not total fat, saturated fat. And that is confusing to people because they are doing a big push for whole fat dairy, which I'm here
That's,
for
yeah.
also. Maybe not you, because you're like, I don't know, I don't really like eat dairy, but I
No,
think
I tell
dairy's fine.
people, yeah, I tell people if you can tolerate dairy, do dairy. If I could
Yeah.
eat cottage cheese and whole milk, I would do it. Because we went through the almond milk craze, we went through the oat milk craze. I'm like, if you can tolerate it, I would
Yeah.
rather you just do milk.
Yeah.
And so I still think that's a good one. So that's kind of like,
I think that's what's confusing people though, is they're saying like 2 to 4 servings of whole fat dairy a day, but still keep 10% of your daily calorie saturated fat. But okay, so I do see telling people to do whole fat dairy for every serving and then also not being afraid of like olive oil and healthy fats. We're going to probably increase our consumption of saturated fat. So for me, I'm like, let's do more research to see what is a better guideline? Maybe it doesn't need to be as low as 10%. And also, just like there's different types of carbs, there's different types of it. Like,
yes.
I think when we first made the guidelines, it was very much like limit your saturated fat from like fried foods,
Mm-hmm.
which it's not the
Yes.
same as like I'm having red meat as opposed to I'm
Cottage
having like
cheese or,
fried food. Like, they're different in terms of health. So
Mhm.
that probably needs to change, but still, whatever. I don't think it's that confusing because in terms of fat, no one was listening anyways.
True. Like now we're at least emphasizing good sources of fat.
Hmm.
And then the other part is the fiber. People are like, there's not enough fiber here. They don't talk about fiber. I couldn't find where there were like at least 25 grams of fiber. That's the
I
recommendations
couldn't
now.
find
It's
it
like a
either.
minimum. They
Yeah.
do say 3 servings of vegetables, 2 servings of fruit, which is actually lower. Like if you look at the old pyramid, I know I'm kind of skipping old to new pyramid, and yes, we have my plate in between,
Yeah.
but like the old pyramid had 2 to 4 servings of
Hmm.
fruit, 3 to 5 of vegetables. So it's actually higher. This is one thing I think the servings could be higher
I do too.
for fruits
Yeah.
and vegetables. And the argument that they're not promoting fiber, I mean, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans,
Beans,
they
nuts,
are all on this
seeds.
pyramid
Yeah.
and they all give you fiber. So,
I also really like that they have in their recommendations, they say like in their vegetables and stuff, they separate starchy and
mhm,
whole grains. They are considering starchy vegetables and like, beans and stuff as part of vegetable recommendations
yep,
instead of the grains recommendations, which I think is really important. That is going to inherently make people increase fiber.
yes. And so, like, the whole grain recommendations are 2 to 4 servings per day.
Yeah.
Some
Of
people are like,
whole
that's,
grains. I
yes,
saw someone
that's of
panicking.
grains.
I
And I'm
saw
like,
someone panicking about this, and I was like, you guys, that's like, and I think Megan even put something out like oatmeal for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, and like you're within your gut. Like,
yeah,
you're getting carbs other places, guys. Like,
yes.
it's just the starches. I don't know if we need to be having, what was the old recommendations? Like, insane. You said like 6 to
Um,
11.
so the old pyramid, and maybe we should have looked at the My Plate too, but it's hard to actually find what the My Plate
The
said. But
My
the
Plate
old
is
pyramid,
really wordy. It's like 135 pages.
yes, the old pyramid, old one was 6 to 11.
No, we don't need to be having 11 servings of
Yeah,
bread.
and it listed like bread, cereal, or rice. So I like how this one is emphasizing more the whole grains, and it's taking off the focus of refined. So something in here is they don't recommend added sugars. They have no added sugar
Yes.
recommendations.
Yeah.
People are mad about that. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
think we need to recommend anyone to go eat a brownie. We're gonna go
You
eat a
know
brownie
what?
if you want a brownie.
No. And you know what else I really liked is there was a caveat for if you're gonna have, because the old recommendations were like a certain amount of your percentage of calories. First of all, let's talk about
Ugh.
confusing. That's confusing. I
Most
never
people
even
don't
looked
even
it
know
up.
how many calories they actually
Yeah.
eat.
I'm like,
Let's
what? Now it's saying when you're selecting a food, like it should have less than 5 grams of added sugar per gram. And then it gives specific servings. And like if the serving size is larger, because food labels like to do that, it says less than 2.5. When I'm thinking about the consumer, I can turn around and look, like turn the food around, look at the nutrition label and see, does that meet that? If not, oh, I know that's probably not appropriate. That makes
yep.
sense to me. And I think that's way more guidance. We never had that before. And that's a guidance we've been giving people, like choose items that have less than 5 grams of added sugar per gram. Because
Hmm.
that's something you can apply. I don't know why
Yes.
we're I don't know why we're upset about the sugar. They also talk about non-nutritive sweeteners.
Yes, they do.
And they
And I
say
think it's a
limit
good
them.
thing. I think it's a good
Limit.
thing.
Me too. I'm like,
And they also say to limit fruit juice, which I think is a great thing because previously, like, we've allowed fruit juice to be counted as a fruit serving. Not the same.
it's not the same. It doesn't have the fiber. It's not great for your blood sugar. It's a ton of added sugar too.
Hmm.
No, no, I don't know. I'm trying to look
I
up the
think
My
we're more
Plate.
pro pyramid than
Oh yeah,
dietitian.
we are. I like the new guidelines, and this is, devil's advocate. Everyone's like, oh, well, people never even abide by them anyways. I
I
think
mean, yeah, but
I think these are a little bit easier to abide by. I also think that if you start abiding by the dietary guidelines, it's better than our previous ones. Maybe not the vegetables and stuff, but in terms of like the grains, I don't think we ever should have been allowing people to have like telling people you need this amount of grains. Like even in traditional carb counting for diabetes, which I don't do ever because I think it's ridiculous, it's something like you can have 8 servings. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like what
yeah,
person with
it's a lot.
diabetes needs 400 grams of carbs a day? And they're sedentary
Mhm.
and they don't move.
Mm-hmm.
No. What? We need a change. Here's the thing is like at this point, let's just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what happens because clearly the trajectory of our health is not great.
Yes.
You know?
Few things, I think a lot of healthcare professionals, dietitians included, are really stuck almost in the idea of we need to make everyone happy because we don't want to hurt feelings and we don't want to make people to make feel like this is hard. And I've also been there where I'm like, I don't want to push you too much. I don't want you to feel like it's too hard. Like I want you to be happy with me, but at the same time, that's not what gets you change and results.
Yeah.
So I think that's been a learning curve for me where it's okay if it's not exactly what you want, if it's not exactly what's going to work. I think this gives more flexibility,
Hmm.
and we are trying too hard to make everyone happy and just make something that it isn't. Like
Hmm.
the argument of the whole push for this too has been eat real foods. Like that's their advertising around it. Like the website to it is realfood.gov.
Hmm.
And we talked a little bit about this before we recorded, but I think some of it is political, where like people are just against
Yeah.
RFK.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to get political here, like we'll keep our views aside. But at the end of the day, why are we mad about pushing real food? And why are we
Yeah.
being unintelligent or ignorant when we're
Yeah.
like, what even is real food? Like the amount of times I've heard this week, I'm like,
Yeah.
that
We're just
sounds
being
stupid.
silly. Like we're being silly. Like you said, at the end of the day, we need to not be concerned about hurting people's feelings. We're the professional and we live in a country where like diet related health diseases are like the leading cause of death. I need people in this industry to be like, yes, there is such thing as not real food. Okay,
Yes,
you can look at an apple and you can look at a really
I
highly
can go get
processed
that off
food.
the tree.
Yes, like is it in nature in that form? Like, and it's
And
again, it's not saying processed foods don't have a place, but like the really highly processed foods, like I think we can all agree we eat
like,
them in
let's not
excess.
be dumb about it.
Come on, you know what I mean? Like there's no graham crackers growing on a tree.
Not to say that you should only eat stuff that you can go get off a tree. Like, that's not what we're
Right.
saying. I'm not out apple and berry picking every day for my family. I'm
Yeah.
not out like hog hunting and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like, I'll go buy berries and apples
Right.
that someone else
Just
got from
somebody
the
else has
tree.
done for me. Yeah.
Or guess what? If you look into the website realfood.gov and if
Mhm.
you scroll down, they have like a FAQ section and there's a question that says, what does real food mean? And they say eating real food means choosing foods that are whole or minimally processed and recognized as food. These are
Yeah.
prepared with few ingredients without added sugars, industrial oils, artificial flavors, or preservatives.
Yeah.
I think this is great. And there's again a lot of dietitians that are like, oh, we're freaking out about oils and oils are fine. I'm like, you know what? I have people that do better all the time when we
Yeah.
reduce seed oils. Not that I'm completely cutting them out,
Yeah.
but a reduction. People always use
Reduction of the added
sugars.
sugar, reduction of like non-nutrient, like just trying to eat more whole foods. And again, I know there's a big argument of like, well, not everyone has access to that. And yes, that is true. It's one reason why I do like that they included canned and frozen.
Yes, that was another argument that I saw
Hmm.
that one of the dietitians I posted, like, well, frozen is still good for you. Well, guess what? If you look at it,
It
they
says
have like a
frozen.
whole PDF. It's like 9 pages that breaks everything down. When
Hmm.
they talk about fruits and vegetables, they actually say frozen, dried, or canned
And
vegetables or fruits with no or very limited added sugars can also be good options.
yeah.
And they even put apart if preferred flavor with salt,
Hmm.
spices, and herbs. This is another thing people are like, oh, we're emphasizing too much sodium. I don't
Yeah.
think so. They
No.
have a sodium section where it talks about recommendations, and it kind of just emphasizes to reduce highly processed foods that are high in sodium. I agree. That's actually what I tell
Yeah.
my clients.
Yeah. The other thing that I think we should pay attention to is these types of guidelines really drive other policy like the school lunch program, stuff like
Yes.
that. unless you have worked behind the scenes in that, I don't think you really understand how complicated that program is. Like, you can't just be like, oh, we have apples and peanut butter as a snack for kids. That doesn't meet the guidelines because you don't have a grain in it. So instead of apples and peanut butter, they'll give kids graham crackers or goldfish. And it's like, well, now we're not modeling to kids that the whole food options are better simply because we're trying to meet guidelines. And again, that's all like, political and policy, but I think really
It's
understanding
just
when
how it is.
yeah, when we're saying like limit added sugar, limit this, limit that, that's going to drive kids who are receiving school lunch to have a more whole food diet, which is a
Hmm.
good thing.
The other part, so we talked a little bit about like vegetarian vegans. So in the PDF too, I forgot about this.
Yeah.
They have a
Yeah.
section for vegetarians and vegans, and
Yeah.
it talks about consuming dairy, eggs, beans, nuts, lentils, legumes, nuts, seeds, tofu, tempeh. And they do talk about limiting processed vegan and vegetarian foods.
Yeah.
Again,
Like
not a bad thing. So there is a
Franken
category
foods.
for them.
Yes. And that was the other thing I heard a lot about was like, wow, there's not a lot of info. And if you look at this, they have infant and toddlers, they have 5 to 10, 11 to 18, young adulthood, pregnant women, lactating women, older adults, individuals with chronic disease, vegetarian vegans. Those types of recommendations, they've been always for those people. When I look at this, I'm like 10 pages is digestible.
Yes.
I know what I'm reading. It's digestible. It's straight to the point. It's, pointing out people with chronic disease that you may need to like work with someone. The guidelines may need to be tweaked. Older adults, you need to focus on vitamin D and vitamin B. Lactating women, you need a lot of omega-3s. It just gives the bullet points and then it's tells you to work with your healthcare professional, which I think is the point. When I look at some of the old ones, I'm lost. And I'm a nutrition professional. I'm like
Yeah.
135 pages.
Like
Like,
taking notes.
you know how long I had to scroll to figure out what the 2020 to 2025 guidelines for whole grains were? And I already knew it was around this simply because I know the other guidelines. It's literally on page 138.
Yeah. No,
Paying
thank you.
attention that long. Like that's what irritates me is like I think there's just enough information.
Hmm.
The normal average person who's not a nutrition professional does not want to read 164 pages. They just want to say, give me like the details, the lowdown. Like what do I need to be looking for?
Hmm. And maybe it is feeding into, because I know RFK is kind of pushing for, again, we're not trying to get political. I think he has some great ideas. I think sometimes he's over the top. I think sometimes we're not looking at the big picture. But I also know
Yeah,
that I don't understand the big picture. I am very disconnected from the news and media unless there is something specific I want to look into. Then I look, I don't watch the news. I don't follow any broadcasting,
it stresses
nothing.
me out.
Yeah, if I want to know, I'm gonna go find out. I don't need it shoved down my throat.
And
So
I
I think
don't,
there's a lot of pieces to it. One thing he's really pushing, well, talking about is expanding education for doctors to have
mhm,
more nutrition. Pros and cons to it.
pros and cons.
I mean, they're already in school such a long time, and everyone's like, schooling should never stop. It doesn't.
Hmm.
Like again, do your research. Dietitians, we have CEUs. We have to always keep up with continuing education. Doctors, they have, I don't think they're called CEUs. I think they're called something different, but
There's
they
some.
also have to continue with their education.
But in
So
terms of what a
all these
doctor
things,
does, I'm like, I
it's
kind of need them to
different.
know other things.
Yes. Like I'm not going to treat you for tuberculosis.
No.
I
Just
guess we're not really treating. I don't know why that came to mind.
I mean, doctors do treat for it.
Yes.
I think it's good that they should know.
I'm not going to treat you for meningitis. Maybe that's a better.
The thing is there has to be change in the way our healthcare system is set up and in insurance because right now doctors have like 20 minutes with people. They
Yeah.
really need that time to talk about this is your disease, this is the medication you're on, this is what to watch out for. Okay. Like they don't really have a ton of time to be like, let me walk you through this. Well, there is a healthcare professional that does that. It's called a dietitian.
Hmm.
So hopefully that
Yes.
changes. But again, I'm all for like, yeah, more people in the medical field knowing about nutrition. Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
think it's a bad thing, but I also think
Right.
like this is our whole job. Let's utilize
Literally.
this
We have
better. And
multiple
I think,
degrees in it.
yes. And I think we are being utilized more. And I think, especially with like we both work with Nourish,
Hmm.
We get clients all the time with Nourish. I mean, we talk about it, like if we turn our allow new clients on, I'll get 4 new people to sign up. So
Yeah, there's
I think
people,
people are
yeah.
more aware that we exist and what we do.
We're
But I think
becoming
there's
more
also room for growth.
accessible too. Yeah.
Yes. Because even now, like people still don't always know that, oh, hey, you can get your dietitian services covered.
Yeah. Like insurance will cover it. It's not a
But
normal
also,
thing, but
it's worth your cash too, I promise.
we are, you guys. I've never had anyone upset about paying cash.
No, I used to
That
only
I've,
do cash. We both only did cash before.
because it's too
Ish.
difficult. It's so difficult to accept insurance as a dietitian on your own.
Mhm.
It's like half the time you don't even get paid. Like insurance
Yeah.
companies are not even writing you a check. You're working for free. So, but we're becoming more accessible. I'm hoping that more people realize that we're more useful. We could work together with doctors, like we know what we're doing. And in terms of, politics, I don't want to make it seem like we just don't know anything that's going on. Like I know at least if you go through school, like the politics. It's a
Hmm.
huge reason why I was like, I'm never gonna be work on policy because
Yeah.
what? It's a
Like
mess.
that's a class you have to take to be a dietitian. There's also
Yeah.
for my program, like one of the rotations like was working with the school, so we have to see the back end.
Hmm.
Before, just like as a general announcement for nutrition or anything, like before you get all up in arms about how much the government is against you, how much America sucks because of our food, how much
Yeah.
the school system sucks because of their lunches,
Hmm.
I just want to say I truly don't think that the government is trying to kill us.
I
I
don't either.
think we're doing the best we can. And
Hmm.
been like, I've worked for a daycare previously. Those meals look a lot different than what I feed my son.
Yeah.
But number one, we had to follow certain guidelines because they had government assistance.
Hmm.
Number two, it's a lot different feeding 85 kids versus 1 or 2 kids at
Yes.
home.
Yes.
Not to say that those 85 kids don't deserve to have an apple and they
Yeah.
got apples, but you know what? Some days they had graham crackers and milk. And
And I'm always going to be for those programs because sometimes those are the only meals kids are getting.
yes, but there's a like I think there's a way we can make those programs work
Yeah.
without being like, here's your little Debbie. Like we never gave them Twinkies.
No, we never gave them Twinkies. That
No.
wasn't
And then
allowed.
like we had kids coming in, like they would bring Cheetos from home.
Yeah.
So and we're like making them eggs and biscuits. Yeah, they're not homemade biscuits. They're like store brand biscuits, but I just buy regular biscuits.
Little
So,
Debbie's might have stopped in 2000. I don't know. It used to be the Wild West out there with sugar.
oh my gosh, yes. I I think since I've like been adulting, I have never bought like a box of Little Debbie's. Anything.
When you were in high school, did they allow sodas?
Yes, they still do.
Okay. Oh, that might be a state thing.
I'm I swear they still do.
Yeah, it
I'm
might be
pretty
a state
sure.
thing because I know in California they don't, in Texas they don't. Actually, in Texas they didn't. And then they decided they did, and then they said they didn't again just because they wanted a new political party to take claim.
Yeah.
It was dumb. But
I'm like 90% sure they still have sodas in school.
yeah. So the long story short is there's a lot that goes into these guidelines. Yes, they're driven by politics. Yes, they're driven by a lot of things. That's how we're set up. We're always aiming to bring the new information to you to help you better improve your health. We're following research, we're allowing it to evolve, and we're hoping that guidelines like these make government programs better. Like that's the goal
Mhm.
at the end of the day. And I
Yes.
think both sides should be okay with that
Yeah. I'm excited for these new guidelines.
too.
I think we have some great potential coming in our world.
Mhm.
Time will always tell. None of us can predict the future. Just have an open mind.
Yeah.
Again, don't be so weird about things. I think it's
And
just gonna
here's
be
the
our
thing,
message from now on. Like, stop making things weird.
don't be
Eating real
weird.
foods, like
Yeah.
when someone tells you to eat real foods, it's not a hidden message. It's pretty straightforward. That is one of my biggest pet peeves is when I will say something and people are like, what do you mean? I'm like,
What do you mean by that? What do you mean what I mean?
exactly what I said. Just
Just
take it at face value. I don't mean anything secretive. We're saying to eat real foods. Don't think too much in depth about that.
yes. And lastly, dietitians are not being paid by Big Pharma or Big
No,
Food.
we are not.
I think the average dietitian salary in America is like 48,000. All right, it's not us, guys. We are not.
I am not rolling
We're
in
not.
the
I am.
dough.
They are not sending me any sort of check. I'm gonna tell you that.
No. And that's like when I talk about GLP-1s and everything, like I'll tell you what I think. I have nothing to do with prescribing a GLP-1. I make no money off of GLP-1. I make no money off of Big Pharma. We cannot legally prescribe anything. We
Mm.
can't even diagnose you with diabetes if we clearly see you are
If I
diabetic.
know you have diabetes, I cannot do it. Yeah.
We are allowed to provide medical nutrition therapy for a diagnosis that your doctor has given. We do not diagnose no matter what we see.
So we don't get any
Um,
benefit from anything.
yes. We're just here to help you interpret. Here's what's being recommended. Here's what we have found to work. Here's what we have learned. We kind of take it all and mesh it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's important.
But don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it.
Don't
Just
be so weird. Eat real foods and just like eat an apple.
yeah,
Instead, oh, it looks
get a
like a
whole
fake apple. I
get
don't
a
know.
whole food something, I don't yeah, just add some color,
Yeah.
eat real foods.
Eat your protein, fat, and fiber.
Yes.
Literally, that's like what this pyramid looks like. Mm,
Yeah. So
yeah.
our
A lot of what we know, we learned. It kind of was piloted from Megan, who we
Mhm.
both have worked with. So, no, maybe she really has just been ahead of her time this whole time, and she got us on board, and
Yeah.
here we are.
I mean,
This this was not a huge shock to me, I guess. This pyramid,
yeah.
the recommendations, I did not see anything absurd. Oh, the other thing was people were like, they have a picture of rice and beans, but then they have a picture of rice. I don't think the bottom picture is rice.
I
I
think
think
it's
it's like
oatmeal.
oatmeal.
I think it's oatmeal, which was my only thing. I was like, I kind of like oatmeal because it has so much fiber, but it's
Yeah.
fine.
But it's still a grain. It's a whole
Yeah,
grain.
it's still a grain.
But
It's
then
still
like
a grain.
rice would be a grain, so I can see where
Yeah,
that
rice is
would
also
be.
a grain.
But it's kind of like in between
I
a
think they were
grain.
trying to include plant sources of protein by saying rice and beans makes a complete
Yes, make it.
protein. So that's your
Yes, that's true.
vegetarian form of
Hmm.
protein. I'm not
I
sure,
don't know.
but yeah,
That
it's
was
and there's a lot to say like when you work with dietitians that really follow because there's a lot of dietitians that like you'll see a patient one time in your whole life and never again. When you're working with people and you're following them and you're seeing like labs are getting better and all this stuff is getting better based on the recommendations you're giving them, you start to kind of see like, okay, I don't think it's appropriate that I tell you to eat 6 more servings of grains a day. I think we're good.
that is correct.
So there's.
Also, funny side note on the website, if you scroll down, there's like little cards, and
It
they remind me
looks
of like
like
Cards Against Humanity.
it is Cards Against Humanity. I saw that. I was like, what millennial
So yeah,
did that?
I don't know. I enjoy eat real
Or maybe
apples,
even
eat real
less.
bread.
Yeah. Daily servings, eat real butter, eat real apples,
Oh, that's fun. You can just like keep scrolling, and it's giving you examples of what real food is.
eat
That's
real lettuce, eat real potatoes. We're here, guys. If you're confused, we got you.
yeah.
Hopefully this didn't
But
confuse you
also like,
anymore.
don't be confused. Take this very straightforward. I think that's what they were trying to achieve, and to me,
Mhm.
they did. Well, I don't know. Mm.
But that's our lowdown on the new food
And
pyramid.
honestly, like again, I don't think the average consumer is was studying my plate, was studying the old pyramid, is going to use this new pyramid every day.
When
It's
I
there
had
at
to
the
use my plate, which I always started off with, I don't love this, but we'll make changes as
check it
we
out.
anytime I was like, have you ever seen this before? 98% of the time people are like, no.
Or they're like, I've heard of it. So
Or they still thought we used the food pyramid. So I'm sorry, my plate. I don't feel like you had your time. You probably could have been made better, but it's all right. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
We're getting caught up
So
on weird things. Like people are like, they missed my plate. I'm like, I don't think it matters.
yeah, I think we're comparing it a lot to the old pyramid because it's a pyramid. You know,
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
we're having two different pyramids. Now one is upside down, pushing more whole foods. So we're
It's not a
comparing it
keto
to the old
cone.
one.
It's
It's
not a keto
not
cone.
a keto
Okay.
cone
There's
at
fruit at the top.
all. I am actually very confused by that.
It makes
Oh, that's
me
a
worried about certain dietitians. I'm like,
I started unfollowing all of them that were saying silly things like that. I was like,
mhm,
yeah, we don't vibe the same. That's
mhm,
okay.
exactly. And that's
Oh
okay.
well.
That's
That's,
why finding a dietitian is like finding a therapist. You're not
yeah,
going
you
to
gotta
vibe
find,
with all of them.
mhm. And that's okay. It doesn't mean they're wrong or they're bad dietitians. We teach differently. We probably have different clients.
Yeah.
Things are different, and that's cool.
Do you think people are going to be mad at us for this episode?
I hope not. Hopefully, it's like a breath of fresh air.
If you do have
But
comments, concerns, questions,
yeah, feel free to like,
grievances,
yes, like
let us
fire back at
know.
us.
Yeah.
Feel free to be like,
Yeah.
I think you're wrong. But it's also going to be really funny if a lot of our listeners are like, we didn't even know that this new one existed
They're
and
all,
there was
what's
so
going
much
on?
drama.
We're like this whole episode on the new pyramid and nobody even knew it was a thing.
Yeah. So yeah, if you haven't heard, there's a lot of drama in the dietitian world about the pyramid. That's why we thought we'd bring it up to you and
Share our
let's not freak
thoughts, our
out. Like,
opinions. Yeah. Don't freak out. Be cool. Don't be weird. Eat
don't be
more fruits and
weird.
veggies.
Yes, that should be our new slogan. Just don't be weird.
Don't be weird. We don't gotta be weird.
All right, everyone. We hope this was helpful. As always, like we said, feel free to send us a DM if you have additional questions, if you want to fire back at us, if you want to talk about things. Feel free to send us a message, and we will be back next week with a brand new topic.
Bye.
Bye.